Welcome to GaGa's Kitchen. I went shopping today and I'm trying to use up what I've got in the freezer and then trying to get really just a couple of pieces of protein that will get us through for two. And I came across my chicken wings, which I get regularly, and they've just suddenly jumped to $7 a kilo. I haven't quite worked out why. They weren't their average, but I normally can get 3 sections out of chicken wings. As you know, I get the chicken tips, the little drumstick, and the bit in between. So the drumstick where it does a meal, I make something that sort of does stir fry something with it, or fry it up with onion and garlic, which is quite yum. That little 2-bone piece usually is a soup, the base for a soup of some description, and the tips, because I have a dog, I use the tips for the dog. Admittedly, if it goes up any more, those tips are going to be done into a very, very light chicken pasta sauce with a lot of basil and garlic, and that's going to do us a meal more than, little treats for the dog. But we haven't had technically red meat for a while. So I went and had a look, as I do. Gone are the days that you can go and buy a piece of steak. And because I said, last time, that start having a look at your roasts and trying to work out per kilo, per meal, how many meals you're going to get out of a roast, it might end up working out a lot more economical for you doing it that way than actually buying already the pre-cut pieces. So today there was a little special. It wasn't a major special, but I got some piece of topside roast, and it's 1.2 kilos. It was $23.36. And I think when you look at the roast component, and that's pretty much only going to do 1 meal, 2 meals if you're really, really lucky. And this is like for 2 people. But if you do it slightly differently, topside is actually quite tender. That's not really, it's not a tough section of meat. And so what I've done, I wash it like I always do. There was quite a lot. This is a brand. I won't say the brand. It's a brand, which means it's this branded supermarket that actually had it. And there was a lot of water in it. Liquid. God knows if it was water. But anyway, it was liquid. So I washed that off to start with. Then I demembraned it. And this is, you get all your little, the membrane. And that's like, especially this sort of tough membrane. If I was to cut it and leave that on, that's the bit that will make it tough. So what I end up doing is, now these are really, really, really rough cut. These will get fixed up later. I have got 4 meals for 2 people out of that 1 piece, which will equivalent it to be approximately $6 a meal, with a little bit of ingenuity. Okay, 2 pieces, and these are going to be hammered, slammed, and I'm going to make them into schnitzel. So we've got 1 schnitzel meal. So that's out of that full length. So then it sort of got narrower. Then I got these pieces. Now they're not particularly big. Okay, so they're not big, not very, very, very big. These I will, hit with a hammer as well. And these will be like steak pieces. There's enough there comfortably to do for 2 people. As I said, I should really get my scales out. But anyway, that's enough for 2 people. Even with shrinkage, it'll be perfectly fine. After that, as we're slicing down, I did thinner slices. So the steak pieces are pretty average. They're fairly average sort of thickness. Not over thick, no, not over thin. It's probably got a little bit of membrane on it, but especially if you like it medium rare, you don't want it too thick that it takes too long to cook, and you don't end up having that neutral. People don't like it when it's bloody, but they do like that center's warmed up. So that's what you're wanting. So, and that will cook pretty quickly. Now, then I got the next bits. So the next bits I sort of cut sort of that thickness, and I've stripped them. They looked exactly the same as what I'm going to use as steak, and all I did is I've now done strips. Now this is what I'm going to use to do most likely some Mongolian beef with these, or something along those lines. It will be an Asianly based meal, stir fry something, but there is actually it's probably about 250. I'll show you the pile in a minute, but I've already pre-stripped them, so they're all strips. I can go into the freezer and I will deal with them at a later date. And then we come down, now we've got this tiny other bit. And then what I've done with that, and this is definitely probably 250, 300, remembering that the whole piece was only like just over 1.2 kilos. Okay, so let me show you. That's, yeah, and it's a couple of bits lower. And this I've actually done in 2 chunks. Now this will actually be done either in 2 ways. Either I'll make a casserole, slow cook casserole, so they'll go nice and tender, or I'll make it up, slow cook. I might do 2 things. I could do a pie. I've got some pastry in the fridge. I can do a pie. I can do a casserole with it and put it into a ramekin or oven proof and put a mashed potato bake over the top. But I will have to cook it separately first and then have it at second heat. Or we could actually have it as a casserole, and if there's anything left over plus gravy, chop the meat up a little bit and then do make a pie with the rest of it, but it'll be all vegetables. So I'm going to flip my phone round. I've been touching meat, so let me just touch this round. Okay, so let's do this. It just takes a minute. I'm going to flip it round. So there we have it. Okay, so there's our cubes. And I wish I had my scales. It's definitely more than 250 grams worth. I reckon it's not quite 500 in that. And each one is pretty close to the same. And that's so here's what's going to be into, let me shift it around. Here's what's going to be into schnitzel. And really it was only going to be any good for schnitzel because I couldn't remember if you cut on the grain or off the grain. So that will need to be pounded so it doesn't go tough, and season it and all that. This is definitely going to be for steak, and I'm just going to have to redo that. And then this one here, as I said, is going to be probably magnolia beef with that, and or some sort of stir fry. And then this here is going to be casserole, pie, whatever, but it's going to be a slow cook. And that all comes out of, let me just get this before I throw it away in the bin. And that all came out of that topside roast. It was 1.29, so you pretty much can say, is that 2.9? I haven't got my glasses on, please pardon me. It could be almost 1.3 kilos, or basically just over a kilo. 4 meals now mean $6. $6 a meal, $3 a person. That's pretty cool. That's really good. So GaGa's Kitchen is actually all about budgeting, trying to get the most out of what you have, thinking about how you purchase differently. I'm going to have a few videos up, if I can get them up. The last one I did was actually on chicken. I had a bit of problems trying to get that up, but I will do that again. And I'll keep you paced about what you do and what you could do. It's not about having to, it's what you could do for a meal. GaGa's Kitchen. Catch you later.